The year is 1896, and Europe is on the march. Having carved out vast empires across the world, European powers are now eyeing Ethiopia, the only country in Africa never to fall under European rule. But why? What was so special about this country that even the mighty Europeans couldn't conquer it? To find out, let's travel back in time to the year 1896 and witness the battle that defied Europe, the Battle of Adwa. Our story begins with Italy, a late starter in the game of imperialism. As the other European powers were carving out colonies for themselves all over the world, Italy was stuck at home. The only part of Africa they had managed to grab was a small slice of the Horn of Africa, just a little bit of coastline and some barren mountains. But this wasn't enough for the Italians. They wanted more, and so in 1895, they declared war on Ethiopia and began their invasion. The Ethiopians weren't just going to accept this, of course. Ever since the country had adopted Christianity in the 4th century, it had been ruled by warrior kings who regularly went to war to defend their faith. This didn't make them immune to the effects of the Industrial Revolution, though. In fact, while most of Africa was being conquered, Ethiopia had managed to modernize its army with the help of European weapons. Now, standing between the Italians and the Ethiopian capital was a small force of 100,000 men, half of which were armed with modern rifles. But numbers alone don't win battles. If the Italians had superior firepower, then the Ethiopians would surely be doomed. But they had something else going for them. Something that the Italians hadn't bargained for, and that was the terrain. As the Italians advanced into Ethiopia, they quickly found that the mountainous landscape was a nightmare for their supply lines. The high peaks and deep valleys made it impossible for them to bring in enough food and water for their troops. On top of this, the local population hated the Italians and refused to cooperate with them. This turned the war into a real disaster for the Italians. This battle was a humiliation for the Italians. Not only had they failed to conquer Ethiopia, but they had been defeated by a non-white army with outdated weapons. It was a blow to their national pride, and they wanted revenge. Over the next decade, they would make 2 more attempts to invade Ethiopia, but both times they would be defeated. The Italians would never conquer Ethiopia. In fact, Ethiopia would go on to play a big role in the next stage of Africa's history. After World War II, when the other European powers were ready to give up their African colonies, Ethiopia became the first African country to declare independence, serving as an inspiration for the many others that followed. So what can we learn from the Battle of Adwa? For one, it shows us the importance of knowing the terrain. If the Italians had known the Ethiopian mountains better, they might have been able to avoid the disastrous defeat they suffered. Secondly, it was the use of modern weapons that allowed the Ethiopians to stand a chance against the Italians. Had they not had access to these weapons, it's likely that they would have been defeated. Finally, it was the refusal of the local population to cooperate with the Italians that turned the tide against them. The Italians had not only underestimated their enemy, but also failed to understand the people they were fighting. Well, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.